Welcome to the substitution review for our boot camp. Here we're posed with the expression 3a squared plus 4a plus 1/3 when a equals negative 2/3. And this might look like a little bit of a scary problem, but once we go through the process, it's not as bad as what it seems. So let's go ahead and start off. Every time where we see the a, we'll substitute in negative 2/3. So I'll rewrite the entire expression, 3, and I'm putting a negative 2/3 in parentheses, and I'm doing that for one of two reasons. When we have a number beside parentheses, that indicates multiplication, and because it's negative 2/3, it also kind of separates it, so I'm not thinking I need to subtract that 2/3. Plus 4 times negative 2/3 plus 1/3. And you have to be very careful when we're writing all of this down. So with this problem, we want to go ahead and follow the order of operations. Just as a quick review, we have parentheses for order of operations, exponents, multiplication or division going left to right, add or subtract going left to right as well. So just because negative 2/3 is in parentheses, that's not parentheses. There has to be more than one operation inside of the parentheses for something to have to be done. It's just separating out and letting us know that that's a negative 2/3. So no parentheses are necessary. So the next step is exponents. We want to take negative 2/3 and square it. So 3, and remember, we want to multiply negative 2/3 times negative 2/3. That's what squaring it is. You really don't want to go to the calculator and change it to a 0.6666666 because you might run into some problems. A lot of us like to just say 0.66 and you're not going to get the right answer. Another reason why we don't want to do that is I'm looking at my choices of answers and none of those are in decimal form. So negative 2/3 times negative 2/3, 2 times 2, that's going to be 4. 3 times 3, that's going to be 9. And negative times a negative, that's why it's a positive 4/9. So plus 4 times negative 2/3 plus 1/3. Our exponents is now done. Now we can go ahead and multiply. I'm just going to go ahead and do the problem going left to right. Now, there's a couple things we need to remember when we're multiplying 3 times 4/9. I have 3, and I'm going to put it over 1 times 4 over 9. There's a couple of ways that you can solve this. One way is just going straight across, having it 12 over 9, and then remembering that you can reduce it down to, reduce that by 3, 4 over 3. So reduce it down to 4/3. Another way that we can do this is cross-reduce before we multiply. And 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 9 3 times, 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 3 is 4/3. Still getting the exact same number, there's just two different ways of figuring out how to do that. So I'm going to say 3 times 4/9 is 4/3. Now I have 4 times negative 2/3. So I'm going to say 4 over 1 times negative 2 over 3. There's really no cross-reducing I can do. So I'll say 4 times 2, and I'll get 8. And 1 times 3 is 3. And I want to make sure that's a negative 8/3. So 4/3 plus negative 8/3 plus 1/3. Now we can go back to everything we remember about adding and subtracting fractions. And I can say 4 plus negative 8, that's going to be negative 4. Negative 4 plus 1 is going to be negative 3. So I end up with negative 3 over 3. Negative 3/3. If I reduce that, my answer will be B. Next problem. 3/4 times m squared times, see there's no plus or minus going on in here, 4/2 times m to the 3rd power. There's a lot of rules going on in this problem that we need to remember, and m equals 6. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and break this problem out. I'm going to say 3/4 times 6 squared times 4/2. Can I go ahead and just reduce that down to 2? Since I know 4 divided by 2 is 2, I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite that while I've got this going on, because we should know by now that 4 divided by 2 is 2. So 2 times 6 to the 3rd power. So with this problem, we've got a lot going on. And again, we want to deal with the order of operations. We have parentheses, exponents, multiply or divide, add or subtract, both going left to right. No addition or subtraction in the problem for us to worry about, but we do have parentheses. So the first thing I need to do is I need to do 2 times 6 inside of that parentheses. So 3/4 times 6 squared times 12 to the 3rd. So I have my parentheses done. I had to do 2 times 6 to get that 12. That 4/2 is kind of what they call a distractor to kind of throw you off your game. So now I want to take care of my exponents. 3/4 times 12, times 36 times, and 12 to the 3rd power is going to be 1,728. So now we can go ahead, and 3/4 is a nice enough fraction that we can go ahead and change that to 0.75. So 0.75 times 36 times 1728. I'm kind of showing that step just to show what happened there. That's a step that a lot of you kind of skip, and you just put in 0.75, multiply it by 36, and then multiply it by 1728, and you'll get the answer of 46,656. And your correct answer would be A. Now, you have a couple of practice problems that we would like you to go ahead and work on. And once you're done with those practice problems, bring them to the teacher. She'll go over them, and then you can move on to the next section. Good luck.